it can be learning about the target market in a way na what you're comfortable with, which is basically social stalking, right? Or is it just browsing? So when I say be humble, it actually allows you to accept more information. Kasi isipin mo, when you receive a brief, I guess from advertising point of view, when you receive a brief, and you just go like, kilala ko yung target market, I am the target market. You actually skip out on the opportunity to really get to know who you're talking to, or to really just resonate or be more empathetic towards a person. So, in terms of what I found out online, which I originally didn't, even if I consider myself as a digital native, are these things. Number one, may Wi-Fi, pero meron din kapit Wi-Fi. Apparently, in lower SECs, some people actually just stand by the houses, like across. Tapos tatambay sila sa sari-sari store, and then makikigamit ng Wi-Fi, which they call kapit Wi-Fi. Meron din Wi-Fi anihan, which is one person in the barkada actually invests in a pocket Wi-Fi, and then they all just share the load. And then there's also the tambay Wi-Fi. How about this? Do you guys know this? Ethernet? So I didn't know this. For some reason, Facebook actually told me like which people were using Ethernet. But imagine pati internet kaya ng isa shady version ng Pilipinas just so they have access. Another thing that I found out is this. So apparently when you're on free data, you can't, well, it tells you that there's standard charges apply if you get out of Facebook, right? So there are some mommy groups that help other moms out by actually just copy-pasting the content from another site as a comment para mabasa nila yung articles. Do you guys know this behavior? So yeah, apparently it's quite interesting, right? But if I just looked at it as like, oh, it's a mom. So she's a mom, she's busy, she's at work, she's just using her cell phone while watching, Showtime. I'm not gonna know that, oh, apparently they don't even see articles anymore. So I guess the point is like, you really, before you even talk about being relevant, or at the same time of, in terms of building relevance, you also have to make sure that you're seen. Because what good is a great piece of content if there's no audience, right? If no one's there to see it, there's no one there to hear it. And I just really want you to not overlook the details. Yun nga, huwag kayong mayabang like me na parang, I know everything, I don't need to learn anymore. Because once you get to know, the personas that exist, then you can create better campaigns.
2016 was the year of goals. It was also the year of excuses. Sunsilk learned that for Filipinas, having good hair means you're more positive to achieve more every day. Sunsilk's goal: grow market share by helping girls achieve their goals. Introducing the Sunsilk Cheer Kala! Fully customized motivational campaign for girls to stay on track when they're about to give up on their goals. Every time a girl would search for content related to their personal goals, Sunsilk showed tailor-made videos as real-time reminders. And for every post, comment, and tweet, we cheer them on in unique ways to stay motivated and not give up. The Sunsilk continuously cheered girls on. It garnered over 6 million views, 200% more than the projected target. It also had a view-through rate that is 22.54% above the industry benchmark and 361,000 engagements on social. Because of this, the Challenger hair brand saw a stunning rise of 1.7 points of market share, growing by a total of 14%, almost 3 times faster than the growth of the shampoo market. Goals achieved!
Yeah, so this idea actually came about when we were trying to just create a sustaining campaign for Sunsilk, and it was a new year was coming, and then I found out from search that apparently New Year's resolutions is only really relevant in January. even goals are only just relevant in January, and then for some reason in Feb, towards the end of the year, it just like disappears. Like, parang making New Year's resolutions was kind of like reverse self-fulfilling prophecies, I guess. So the good thing about this campaign is that we were able to find out that, like, girls, there's so many dimensions to women. Your goals are not just to like dress up well. It's about fitness, it's about camaraderie, it's about traveling as well. And we were able to do this with a YouTube campaign. Another learning that I got from working in advertising is that it's not going to be perfect. I guess from a strategic point of view, sometimes I just really want it to be planchado, everything is irrational, I can defend it to the client. But the thing is, in digital, there's room for you to experiment, and you just really have to accept the idea, or you have to convince your client or your boss or yourself that failure is an option. But of course, when I say failure is an option, may caveat it. Parang make intelligent assumptions. I'll just keep it there. So, imagine in 2015,
for most Filipinos,
2015, we were handling Chowking as a client, and it was a random weekend. So I think I was out on a date. The creative director was in Numan. The copywriter was, what is the copywriter doing? I guess watching Netflix. And then the accounts person was accountant. I don't know what she was doing. But basically, it was like a normal weekend. And suddenly, this tweet comes out. Do you guys know Senora? Is she still relevant to you? Senora Santibanez. So this like Twitter account with 2.5 million followers at that time just tweeted out of nowhere, walang kakain sa Chowking. So we were all like, anong nangyayari? Bakit galit si Senora sa Chowking? And everyone just started saying, boycott Chowking. Let's not eat at Chowking. And apparently it was because of the Gilas event. And I guess the backstory before I show the case study. Imagine it's a Saturday night, we're all having our own thing, and then suddenly our brand is in crisis. And we don't know what the context is, we don't know if people are serious. But we just, we talked to the brand manager at that time, who was luckily a millennial, and all the older bosses were asleep. So she approved our content without the approval of her bosses. And we actually won an award.
for most Filipinos, ball is life. So when Gilas Pilipinas went head-to-head against China in the FIBA Asia Championship match, the game was on. China had the home court advantage. With a spot in the 2016 Rio Olympics handling battles, it was a high-stakes battle for national honor and pride. As Gilas lost, fans were frustrated with how the game was officiated, describing it as Lutong Macau, or a big cooking show. Fueled by the ongoing territorial standoff between the two countries, the furor had spread from the basketball court to social media within a couple of hours. As millions of netizens called for a nationwide boycott on Chinese food, Chowking, the country's leading Chinese fast food chain, found itself in the middle of a racially offensive firestorm. So we decided to fight fire with fire and responded with this classic tweet to diffuse the tension. We followed it up with an open letter that spread just as quick as the original negative tweet. Everyone took notice. Different media outlets covered the brand's social media response. It was even awarded gold in Best Crisis Management in the recent PR Awards in Singapore. All in all, the response gave the brand 7.3 million pesos in earned media. In an instant, we converted a potential crisis into massive brand love by banking on the brand's humorous persona and reminding people to just enjoy the great Chinese food they all know and love the brand found a diplomatic solution to a racially charged situation, all in the speed of digital.
So were you able to see what you replied? No. Okay. So you replied, wala po kaming kinalaman sa panalo ng China. Kung may lutuan pong nangyari, sa kusina lang po namin yun. And we also wrote a letter. Dear Philippines, we all saw what happened. We can't play this game anymore, but can we still be friends? P.S. Our chefs aren't referees. Chismis lang po yan. Buti na tayo, please. Long Chowking. So, that was wrong. Thank you. Wait, giliba ko yung love life ko for that, ha? Joke. Okay, so, I mean, you don't really know that from the case study, like the story of how we were like not even in the same place. But this happened to us at 11 p.m., I think. And imagine if we didn't write and publish the tweet as well as the social card. I mean, it's so simple. It's just like image, text on image, right? But of course, the creative director still had to go home, drive home to actually create the artwork. We even had studies. We sent it to each other via Viber. We approved it, through Viber group. And that actually won us our first international award as an agency. So isn't that cool? Okay. Oops. So another thing I want to talk about is how how right now the ads are just really trying to be about social good. At least they're attempting to be. They're trying to represent the underrepresented. They're trying to create a stand for advocacies. And the thing that I learned about making a stand or supporting a social good is that in terms of if you're the community management agency, it's not all good. Because there are some people whose dream in life is just to be a hater or a troll. So there's a lot of good intention behind a lot of brand crises, and it really points out how you can be relevant, but it doesn't mean you're authentic about it. Like you can tweet about, talking about racial diversity or how you hate a certain ad, all you want. You can even be an influencer, but it doesn't mean that you're authentic about it. You can be super popular, you can have so many followers, but it doesn't mean that you're going to really make a change. So, I found out, have you heard the term snowflake generation? Did they say that about you or about us? Biglang pinasa sa inyo. Anyway, so let's just say we are the snowflake generation. And there's a new one which offended people, which is, I guess, napkins can be offensive. Have you guys seen what Coke and Delta did? Have you guys seen this? Who has seen this? Not yet? Okay, I'll read it out. So, apparently, Coke had a partnership with Delta Airlines, and when you're on the flight, they actually give you napkins that have, what it says, because you're on a plane full of interesting people, and hey, you never know. And then it has name, and then a blank, and then your number. So, who finds this offensive? Uy, ayaw lang matawag na snowflake generation. Ako na-offend ako. Wala akong na-offend. May mga na-offend. Basahin ko. There's a tweet. These cocktail napkins on Delta practically encourage affairs. Hey Coca-Cola, you never know. Hey Delta and Coca-Cola, these napkins are creepy AF. Pretty sure no one appreciated unsolicited phone numbers in the good old days, and they sure as heck don't want the number of someone who has been gawking at them on a plane for hours today. Not a good look. Napkins received from Delta on Wednesday flight seem unintentionally creepy, especially after reading the smaller print. Swing and a miss. So they actually had to apologize. Although, meron namang nag-defend kay Delta and Coke na parang there's nothing wrong with it, that people are just being so sensitive. But the reality is, even if Coke and Delta probably just had a brand role that they wanted to achieve, which was to just encourage connections or meeting up or meeting new people or making new friends, right? Could be totally friendly. But on digital, you can't control how they're going to react, and you also can't control where they're going to say it. So they were accused of encouraging flirtation, and then affair, and then biglang sexual assault from a napkin. Right? So, imagine, buti na lang hindi kami community manager ng Coke. Okay. We tried to also do something similar with close up. Luckily, hindi naman ganun sensitive ang Pinoys. At least not about that. Not yet. I'm sure it's gonna grow. But they did spot, or they had something negative to say about one part of this case study. I wonder if you're gonna figure it out. relationship status niyo. Imagine, you guys have everything. Kami we had to converse. Okay, so can you guys guess which part of the campaign had negative feedback? Any guesses? May free internship. May paid internship yung sasagot. Okay, so the one that had negative feedback is actually this one. When I met him, that was when I became most proud of being who I am. That's what love does. So we featured a gay couple, and for this case study, obviously we wanted to win an award, no? So yung positive feedback yung feature namin. But yeah, it actually had negative feedback, obviously because we're in the Philippines, and this was a reminder for us to just choose your battles. I mean, you can't please everyone. Pinoys love ranting online. Even if you have slow internet, I guess they find joy in writing long comments. So yeah, we have this joke na at work na parang choose your bottles. Kasi you can't please everyone. We actually just devised a way to determine who's just a troll. So we really stop the people whose life is really just to post negative comments across different brands. Apparently there are people like that. And then this is a reminder also for everyone who has a position to be influential. There is that barrier of thinking na parang, okay, why am I gonna do that and nobody's doing it? So I'm encouraging you to be that nobody and take that risk. Because the best way to predict the future is to create it. So if you're afraid of the future, why not just be empowered enough to make your own decisions? and start it yourself. You don't need a peg, you don't need someone to have proven that it works. What if you're meant to be the one to prove that it works or that it exists, right? And that's actually what we did with our Bello campaign. So yeah, this is one of our best campaigns because it wasn't forced. It wasn't forced. You know, it wasn't like Bello just came out of nowhere and just started like advocating for LGBTQ communities. But it was actually also intrinsic to the product because the product is a BB body spray which hides mga pasa. So there's a lot of like, apparently there's a lot of like gay dance groups out there or just dancers. And it just so happened that no one is just, you know, representing them at all, at least in the Philippine scene. So yeah, it was a great opportunity for us. It really worked out well. But yeah, so the main point, again, is like not everyone is going to love your idea, and maybe that's something that you need to hear before you graduate. You're not always going to be correct. You can make mistakes. But again, it's not about just being perfect. It's about learning. It's so super cliche and cheesy, but it's really just that constant learning. Nakakapagod siya, for sure. Sometimes I'll do research about something. It'll take me like weeks, only for the platform to update. So imagine gumagawa ko ng report about how the Facebook newsfeed algorithm is like this, tapos biglang papalitan yung Facebook within a snap. So yeah, it's just really part of the world we live in nowadays. So again, I remind you to be humble, accept those realities and make it work for you. Don't be discouraged. Because when you're humble, you get to create fun content like this. So we're currently handling the NUWORKS account. You should follow it. It's quite funny. So we just start with the usual, like, okay, it's voting season, so bote, malakas, masarap, di ka iiwan, pagagalingin ka pang mag-English. And then another one when, I think this was the Batman Superman movie when it came out. So, ang bagong superhero, inuman. Get it? Funny, diba? Pili na talaga. And then the latest one, so hindi ko na po sino nag-start nito, yung namumuha. But it made sense, namuha ng macho. You guys know naman that the big 2-liter yata of Red Horse is called the macho. So now you get it. Okay. Another one was from, I guess a few months back, or last year. Do you guys remember the announcement along EDSA? Yung parang bawal na mag-isa ka mag-drive. So, Close Up came up with, bawal na raw single sa EDSA. It's time to get closer to a crush. Sipin mo kung sa States though, no? Parang they probably said like, sexual, offense. Okay, and then for the lotto, when it became super huge, you guys can actually go beyond creating social cards. So Burger King actually did an on-ground promo just for the lotto, and we wanted every loser to win in Burger King by getting like buy one take one prize. So yeah, don't be limited to like trending topics, because trending topics are not the only things that are relevant. Those are actually quite fleeting. Another thing that you can look at is probably like, if you want to just learn about what's relevant right now, actually for you, for introspection, what's relevant to you, I encourage you guys right now, go on your Google search, look at your history, what have you searched recently? Just be honest with yourself. Ano mga pinagsa-search nyo? Or type how to, tapos kung ano yung autofill. Let's see what Google has learned about you. So yeah, brand relevance is quite important. Some people say it's the new differentiation. Some actually say it's even more important than differentiation. In fact, it's more important to be relevant to your consumer than to be differentiated from your competition. And I think it's because when you're online, your competition isn't necessarily like people from the same category. Like for example, Chowking and Burger King, hindi naman necessarily si McDonald's lang yung kalaban niya. At least in terms of getting attention from people online or having consideration. Sinong kalaban? Kalaban namin online, cats, dogs, babies, shocks, flossing, right? It's flossing. The backpack kid, K-pop. I mean, anong laban ng siopaw? Diba? So, yeah, when we talk about relevance, it's not just about, competing against burger to burger, fries to fries. But it's really about just looking at people and how they consume content or media. And it's not like they're picking between, okay, am I gonna watch a baby video or my ina-anak's video versus an ad? No, it's not even in the same playing field. So, yeah, when we talk about relevance, just go beyond just looking at your competition. Because the reality is, no one wakes up excited to see more advertising, and no one goes to sleep thinking about the ads they'll see tomorrow. Unless you're me, and I love ads. So, yeah, do you guys agree with this? Do you guys check your phone? I mean, I'm sure when you wake up in the morning and you check Instagram, you're not waiting for Ariel or, sorry, yung last na nakita ko, hindi ko sila kliyente. To like be on your Instagram feed, right? You're gonna check if you got likes from last night while you were sleeping. Okay, so yeah, that's my talk, staying relevant in the age of new media. I hope you guys unlearned a bunch of stuff as a digital native. Again, I'm from NUWORKS. You guys can say hello. If you guys are really seriously interested in an internship, I can process your application. So send it over to lourdes.batac@nuworks.ph. You can also add NUWORKS.ph Instagram account, and I'll also do a self-plug. Medyo nahiya ako actually, inisip ko kung i-hide ko yung slide. But I'm already here, and you guys are still here. So, you guys can add me also. I guess di ba kung ba't ayaw ko siya una i-upload. Anyway, so yeah, so you can add me up. Hindi ko lang mabasahin. Anyway. Thanks guys!
A huge thank you to our third speaker, Ms. Lourdes Batac. And now it's time for our final Q&A. May we please ask Ms. Lou and Ms. Vin to come over here for our Q&A portion. While you prepare, a couple more reminders. Once again, you guys can text the number to send your Q&A questions. It's 0915-114-0954. Thank you very much.
Hello. Guys, questions? Do you have any questions?
May pa ba kayo?
Chan, do you have a question, Chan?
Plan na tayo.
Wala, inuman na lang. Nasip ko na. Any questions, guys?
By the way, thank you to Benilde. Actually, out of the 4 partners of NUWORKS, 3 of them are actually graduates of Benilde. Yeah. So, even mo yung pride ko na sa Atenean.
Oh.
May ganun pa rin.
Oh, here. How do you find the right platform to work at? How do you know the right strategy to apply? Oh,
When you say
one more. Oh, how do you find the right platform to work?
platform, media channel,
8609. Phone number 8609. Come on, sige na. You?
platform. Sige.
Can you clarify your question para we can answer it properly? Shy type.
Okay. Well, I guess if you're talking about like what platform where you can engage with the consumer, there's studies like you can actually find out how many Pinoys are in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, YouTube. You can evaluate how many of them have an account, how long they spend using that account, have they visited? And what do they do on those platforms?
Attached to that is, how do you know the right strategy to apply?
Well, you always just start with where the consumer is at, where the user is at. That's pretty basic for any strategy because the only defense that you need to a client why you have to invest in a particular thing is to say that's where the target market is.
Okay. First one question, pero mamaya na lang yun. Job opening
Job
up.
openings for fresh grads? Yes, we do. Basta humble kayo.
Oh, you got naman your details.
Yeah, we do. And it's across the departments. Although I'm also looking for a planner, so anyone of you want to shift to that department?
Well, this one na lang. You want? What do you think of the value of us artists in the industry?
Oh, that's a very good question. Since our work is somehow precarious, insecure income, has the crisis.
So, nagbasa, di ba? I was asking sa ano yung answer the first question. What do you think of the value of us artists in the industry?
Actually, you guys are super important, especially like from my perspective. So I'm a strategic planner, so I can't do graphics, can't do art. I try through my slides. That's it. But in terms of like within an agency, you guys are very important because how will our strategy come to life if it weren't for the artists, right, and the copywriters? So collaboration in that sense is quite important. I don't know the dynamics of like creative to creative, if there's some like tension there, but strat to creative definitely. We still need to work together. You guys are the ones who make us win awards. And in terms of, I guess, the value in the industry, there's a lot of talk about how the production agencies are actually the competition of us, of advertising agencies. Because some production agencies do the scope now of creating content, which is what we do as well. So there's high demand. Don't question that. There's high demand. I think the industry just has to come together and kind of talk about like the pricing, and just agree na parang, kasi pag may isang ahensya na binabaan yung rates sa client, yun yung open na
Yeah. And when we say artists, these are both visual and copy. I mean, when you say artist kasi you think drawing ganyan or anything that you do or animation ganyan. But yeah, that's included also. Okay. And since our work is somehow precarious, insecure income handling versus, do we need to stay relevant then? No, why do we need to stay relevant? Especially now in your age, in our age then, back then, it was totally different. We didn't really have internet the way you have it now. You grew up with it. Okay, us, we learned through it. You really have to be relevant because things change a whole lot. Like if you really step back in a year's time, makita mo there's a lot of changes. Now you have to learn that and to catch up and go beyond what is there. We really have to be relevant in terms of visualization, in terms of styling, so it's the new one, or understanding the new the landscape or a program, ganyan, diba? So that's what upscaling is very important.
Actually, just to add, in NUWORKS, mahilig kami sa departments that like just come out of nowhere. So, like for example, we have in the creative team, biglang nagkaroon ng spin-off called Reactor. And the Reactor team was actually built because JFC, Jollibee Food Group, actually started hiring us for live coverage of their openings in Milan, in LA, in Abu Dhabi. And there needed to be a dedicated team to actually know how to do live shoot. Kasi ibang-iba yun, right? So, we actually created a Reactor team. So, it's like an in-house production team that works internally for NUWORKS. but they're dedicated to really create specific content. So it's I guess in terms of the setup then of like the workforce, hindi na talaga siya, I guess nagiging, ano na ba, it's not about tenure, like it's not about your age, it's really about your skills. Yeah.
Okay, I like this question. What is your opinion on videos that go viral but are only short-lived? Like that they stay engaging for a few hours and it gets forgotten.
Actually, may sakit yung ibang kliyente namin when they brief us and they ask us for a viral video. And it's kind of like, you still have to explain to them na, actually, that's not an objective. Like, videos go viral, but you can't make a brief for a viral video, right? So my opinion on that is, it works for its purpose. Meaning, for example, I just want to own Valentine's Day. I release something on Valentine's Day. I get all the share of voice during that day. That's objective. That's it. It serves its purpose. But yun nga, syempre, kailangan mong i-review with a client ano yung value, ano yung production value ng viral content na ginawa mo versus like owning that space. Kasi that's what we're all fighting for, I guess. Share of mind from our users. So it's still useful, but it's definitely not a long-term strategy, for sure.
Or, relevant insight is very important. Something that's super, super real. The truth, when you know it's the truth, it will always work. I mean, di ba? Regardless of platform, digital ba yan, music ba yan, it doesn't matter. As long as there's a real, right insight. Mahabang kwento yung minsan. Ibang session yan altogether. Okay. What are your brainstorming techniques when doing a project or maybe an answer in a brief, no? When doing a
brainstorming techniques. So one, I start with, so I brainstorm, solo brainstorming before we even brainstorm as a group. Because I think we believe na parang you can only brainstorm when you have something to offer. So don't ever step into a brainstorm na parang you're there to listen. No, that's not the point. So you take some time to actually just collect your thoughts. So what I do as a planner is I do both online and offline research, which is aka social stalking. I like going through profiles of people and really getting to know like where they go. It's so easy. It's so easy to get to know like the target market right now. They just offer the information for free. So I do that, but at the same time, I also like conversing with people. So I try to look for people randomly, like if it's a guard, if it's someone from mini stop or an elevator, like I'll just be that creep that starts a conversation with them. And kasi my role naman kasi in the company is not to necessarily come up with the idea, but spark inspiration from like an insight. So that's what I bring to the table for a brainstorm practice. Other things could be just the usual like scan what the competition is doing, but I think it's useful like getting to know who you're talking to.
Two more questions. Second to last. What's the best advice you received in order to better connect with your audience? What's the best advice you received in order to better connect with your audience?
I guess it goes back to like what I learned initially, is that I don't always know who you are. I think, I know it's so basic, pero kasi there's this term called tactical empathy. Have you guys heard of that? So tactical empathy is basically what advertisers do, I feel. And I'm quite guilty of that. So you try to empathize with someone, but you have a goal of which you want to make them buy something, convince them that product A is better than product B, right? So yeah, if you really want to get to be more relevant or to connect more with your audience, strip off at least in the beginning, strip off muna what you want them to do. Right? Yung desired think, feel, do. Huwag mo muna isipin yun. Just really authentically and like get to know your target consumer. Ask the right questions. Don't make an assumption just to validate, but make an assumption to learn. Right? Okay ba yun? Kasi kung may assumption ka, tapos ang gusto mo lang i-validate, you'll just listen for the words that will just say that you're correct. Right? So if you're making an assumption but you're there to learn, you're actually going to be open to proving yourself wrong. Yeah.
Okay, last question. We only have 5 minutes now. Okay. What's your extensive creative process with them? Extensive.
No, I come to NUWORKS. So, but siguro, grabe yung extensive. Ano bang topic? Overview. Okay, so we receive a brief from client. I process it with the accounts team in terms of our capability, and then the planners actually create that communications brief and turn it into a creative brief, which is basically our way of translating what the client said they wanted into a more inspiring document. And then from there, the creatives and I actually discuss what the insight is, what the target market is, what's the brand doing, and then the creatives actually just, may solo brainstorm kami, and then we regroup together, may batuan ng ideas. Usually it starts off with like 100 ideas, and then like, tanggal. I'm not sure if that's what you were asking, but that's what I can gather right now.
Okay, ito last na talaga. Okay. What do you do with clients whose views and opinions go against yours?
I write about them on a private blog.
Never.
Don't do that. Okay. What do I do? I hold my tongue and let the accounts explain. Just kidding. It depends. There's like, may roles naman kami in a meeting eh. So, when you go into a meeting, usually I can be the one to argue with a client. Sometimes I let the accounts do it because the accounts people are facing the client more, so there's the kind of relationship that allows them to speak their mind in a more casual manner, in a non-offensive manner. So, what I do is, I assess what is my current relationship with that client. Siya ba yung type na parang kaya bang, parang mali? Or is it the type na parang, okay, I'm not in the position yet, it's a new client, or even in terms of positions kung sobrang boss yan, hindi yan makikinig sa akin necessarily. Baka kailangan, for example, katapat niya yung magsasabi sa kanya na mali siya. So what we do is, so we assess first what's the client relationship before we say anything. We assess who is the best person to deliver the message that will tell the client that they're wrong. Because clients don't want to hear that they're wrong, right? I mean, no one wants to hear that. We're just human beings. So yeah, so it's just more like people management. What we do, we call it out.
Dagdag lang ako nung kasi I was with account management also. Your best defense is understanding the project and your objective. Always go back to your objective. And so, whatever it is that they say, for as long as pasok na sa objective or even your opinion, for as long as you're there, you're good. If you're on track, then that's it. Tapos ang bakbakan. Yeah. So, then be very professional, can be friendly, but professional. I think we're done! Picture lit!
Stand by in 3, 2, 1.